yeah, maybe there's been taken advantage of that a little bit. I don't really like it.
What was your instant reaction when you heard Thomas Tuchel was the new manager?
I wasn't expecting it, if I'm totally honest. For us now, it's doing it in the bigger games, controlling the bigger games more, and that's what we need if we want to be World Cup champions.
Harry, really nice to see you. It's an important week. It feels like a sort of, a week where, I don't know, the stakes are pretty high when you look at the fixtures. How do you sum up the stakes on Thursday?
Yeah, it is a big week. I think sometimes these games go under the radar a little bit. When you come off the back of a major tournament and you're in the Nations League, people kind of just think it's not as important, but for us it is, as obviously impacts going into next year as well. And being an England player, wearing an England shirt, you're expected to win every game, and obviously not doing that against Greece in the last camp hurt us, and now we have a really tough game away from home on Thursday.
What was your instant reaction when you heard Thomas Tuchel was the new manager? Shock, surprise, delight?
I was surprised, to be honest. I wasn't expecting it, if I'm totally honest. Obviously, worked with Thomas last year, had a really good relationship with him, and I just expected him to go back into club football, if I'm totally honest. But pleasantly surprised, obviously worked closely with him, and he was a big part of me going to Bayern Munich. And just an all-round great person. I think the staff, Anthony Barry as well, is a great guy. The sense is that I think he'll bring a lot of energy to this team and a lot of passion, and we'll be ready for that.
As England's captain, as someone who's come through the pathway as a player, under 17, under 19, under 20, under 21, does it concern you, England haven't appointed an English manager?
Well, I think you've got to look at who was available in the time. I think, there was not loads of candidates, if we're totally honest, and I think ultimately it's not my decision, but you have to go out there and try and pick the best coach that you think gives you the best chance of winning major tournaments. We're at that stage now where, being in 2 finals in the last 3 tournaments, the only step now is to win. And, we've done well in breeding in younger players during that period as well. But, I think what Thomas brings is a winning mentality, a winning resume, someone who's done it on the biggest stage, and especially in tournaments as well. I think tournaments is something that he really excels in, and that's what we need if we want to be World Cup champions.
What's his standout quality, if you were to single out a particular thing that always struck you?
Well, I think tactically he's one of the best managers there is, especially in modern football. I think he's proven that. Obviously, it's hard talking about it now because he had a certain way at Bayern Munich, but that was different to Chelsea. So when he comes with us next year, he might look at the squad in a different way to what maybe other people have seen it in terms of formation or players. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how he sees us going forward and how he sees the best opportunity to win tournaments. But I think tactically he has an amazing brain, and all the small details that I think help get you over the line, help to get you to win, he understands all that.
Yes or no? Have England got the best man who was available?
Yes, I think they have.
If you're telling the players around you to be ready for one thing with Thomas Tuchel, what is it?
I'd say he's straight talking, whether you're doing well or you're doing bad, he'll tell you. He's a good guy around the place. I think he's quite relaxed. He treats you, like an adult, like a man. He expects you to do the right things. But on the pitch, he is demanding, and if you don't like something, he'll let you know.
Some say we haven't seen a consistent high-level performance from England since Italy were beaten in the Euros qualifying 13 months ago. They've got a point.
It's been an up and down. It was an up and down year. I think it was an up and down Euros. Still loads of positives to take from the Euros, but I think if we're talking about where we're at as a squad now, we've been through that moment where we've been the team that wasn't expected to do well and done well. We've been the team where we've been favourites, one of the favourites this tournament. We haven't quite performed, but we've got to where we wanted to get to. Just didn't. We fell at the last hurdle. So I think for us now, it's doing it in the bigger games, controlling the bigger games more. I feel like that's the one thing that's probably missing in that period, is controlling. Italy was the last time we played, I felt like a top nation, and we controlled from start to finish. And when you go into tournaments, I think that's the next step we can try and achieve.
In this interim period, have England lost impetus? Do you feel it's a drift?
Well, I feel like the squad has completely changed in that period. There's been a lot of people, a lot of new players, a lot of younger players. Obviously, Lee's tried to to breed in some of the young under 21 players who have been doing well. This camp, for example, there's been a lot of people pulled out. So I think there's a shift in terms of the core of the team. We had a strong core for a large period, and Gareth was part of that core as well. That's now changing, so it's natural that, you know, in this period we've found a little bit of up and down performances. I thought the first couple were really good with Lee, the second two weren't as good. But now it's kind of our responsibility to make sure we finish strong, and I think we want to do that for Lee as well. We want to make sure we try and win these 2 games and get that promotion, and you know, he deserves that kind of that send-off. If
there's one thing Gareth Southgate put in place that you and other senior players need to ensure isn't lost, what is it?
I think the joy to play for England. I think he brought that back. I think every camp people were excited to come. Every camp people wanted to play for England. And yeah, that's the most important thing. I think England comes before anything. England comes before club. England is the most important, you know, thing you play as a professional footballer. So, and Gareth was, you know, hot on that, and he weren't afraid to make decisions if, you know, that started to drift from certain players.
Are you feeling it might have drifted this week?
It's a shame this week. Obviously, yeah, look, I think it's a tough period of the season, and maybe. Maybe there's been taken advantage of that a little bit. I don't really like it, if I'm totally honest. I think, like I just said there, I think England comes before anything, any club situation.
In a word, in Athens, got to be a 2-goal win. What's the first thing that needs to be better?
Yeah, I said the duels, the second balls, all the dirty stuff in football that you have to get right before you can start playing your own football. We have a talented team. We obviously have a young team going into this game. And we want to play, we want to put our stamp on it, but if we don't get, you know, the out of possession right, it'll be a difficult evening.
Yes or no, you know him. Will Thomas Tuchel be watching closely?
Yeah, I reckon so. He'll be watching and already planning for next year.